It began on an ordinary Thursday evening. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky streaked with hues of pink and orange. I was sitting on my back porch, sipping a lukewarm cup of coffee, when a brilliant flash of light lit up the yard. For a moment, I thought lightning had struck, but the clear skies said otherwise. When my eyes adjusted, I saw her, a tall, slender figure standing near the oak tree at the edge of my property. She wasn't human, that much was clear. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent hue, shifting between deep blues and soft greens under the fading light. Her eyes were large and luminous, like twin moons, and her movements were graceful yet alien, as if she floated rather than walked. I froze, unsure whether to run, call someone, or simply watch. Before I could decide, she turned her gaze toward me and tilted her head, as if studying me. Then, without a word, she pointed to the ground near the center of my backyard and began to dig. I stood up, coffee forgotten, and approached cautiously. "Hey," I called out, my voice trembling. "What are you doing? You can't just dig up someone's yard." She didn't respond. Instead, she knelt, her slender hands clawing at the dirt with surprising strength and precision. The soil seemed to yield to her touch, parting effortlessly as she worked. Intrigued and slightly annoyed, I stepped closer. "Listen," I tried again. "You need to stop. This is private property." She paused and looked up, her glowing eyes locking onto mine. When she spoke, her voice was melodic, layered with harmonics that made it feel like more than one person was speaking. "The artifact. It is here." "Artifact?" I repeated, dumbfounded. "What artifact?" She didn't answer, but returned to digging with renewed urgency. I hesitated, debating whether to call the authorities or simply let her finish whatever she was doing. Curiosity won out. I grabbed a spade from my shed and started digging beside her. Minutes turned into hours as we worked in silence. The hole grew deeper, and the air grew cooler. Occasionally, I glanced at her, marveling at how easily she moved, her iridescent skin glowing faintly in the dark. Finally, my spade hit something solid. A dull metallic sound echoed through the hole. She froze, her luminous eyes widening with anticipation. Together, we cleared the dirt to reveal a large, intricately carved object buried beneath the soil. It was made of an unearthly material that seemed to shift colors under the moonlight, much like her skin. She reached out, her fingers brushing the surface. The object responded instantly, glowing faintly as patterns of light rippled across its surface. It hummed softly, a sound that resonated deep in my chest. "What is it?" I asked, unable to tear my eyes away. She turned to me, a faint smile curving her lips. "A key." "A key to what?" Her gaze drifted upward, toward the stars, to a door that should never have been closed. Before I could press for more details, the ground beneath us trembled. The object, the key, began to emit a brighter light, its hum growing louder. I stumbled back, shielding my eyes as a column of light shot upward from the key, piercing the night sky. When the light faded, she stood, holding the key in her hands. Her expression was unreadable, a mix of relief and determination. "Thank you," she said, her voice softer now. "What happens now?" I asked, still reeling from what I'd witnessed. She hesitated, as if weighing how much to tell me. "The artifact is part of a network, a series of keys hidden across your world. Together, they unlock a passage to my home, a place long forgotten. I came to retrieve this one, but others will come for the rest." "Others?" I repeated, alarmed. "Are they like you?" She shook her head. "Not all of them. Some seek to destroy, not restore." "You must be cautious." I didn't know what to say. This was too much for a simple man who spent his days managing spreadsheets and evenings tending to his modest garden. Why was it buried here? I finally managed. Her luminous eyes softened. Long ago, your ancestors were entrusted with its safekeeping. They hid it well, ensuring it would not fall into the wrong hands. You have honored their legacy without even knowing it. I stared at her, my mind racing. What happens if someone finds the other keys and uses them wrong? Her gaze darkened. Then the balance between our worlds will shatter. Both would suffer greatly. Before I could ask more, the key in her hands began to pulse, as if urging her to leave. She looked at me one last time. I must go. But remember, protect what you can. The fate of more than one world may depend on it. And just like that, she was gone. The flash of light returned, enveloping her and the key, leaving me alone in the dark yard with a gaping hole and 1,000 unanswered questions. Over the next few days, I tried to return to normal life, but it was impossible. Every time I looked at the disturbed earth in my backyard, I felt a mix of wonder and dread. What had I gotten myself involved in? What had she meant by others coming? And why me, of all people? It wasn't long before the first signs appeared. Strangers in dark suits asking questions, unusual lights in the sky, and an eerie hum that seemed to echo from the very ground beneath my house. I knew then that my life would never be the same. I began to prepare, not knowing exactly for what. If there were other keys out there, and if those seeking them had less noble intentions, then perhaps it was my turn to take up the role my ancestors once held. After all, the alien woman had trusted me, and though I didn't understand everything, one thing was clear. This was only the beginning. Some doors should never be closed. But once opened, they must be guarded, no matter the cost.